Yep. Okay, we're gonna. Tonight's date is February 8th, 2021. Okay, first item up would be roll call, or call to order. Roll call. Mr. Simmons, are you online?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Michael Hill,
Here. Present.
Elizabeth Hawk, Nicole Nesberg. She might be late. She's attending another meeting. Elizabeth Hausauer,
Here.
Danielle Massey, Danielle Massey, Kyra Lucas,
Present.
Kyra Lucas,
Present.
Michelle Hazen, Michelle Hazen, Bill Warner,
Here.
Jay Reeves.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Okay, next item up, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a
Move to
motion?
adopt.
Okay,
Aye.
all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, who seconded?
It'd be Michael, did you?
No, it was Mr.
I did, Kara Lucas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we don't have anybody on Zoom on our end, so we don't need to do it individually, right?
Well, we'll just keep going. Okay, next item up would be approval of the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, the announcement, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Section 30-3.5 of the Land Development Code establishes the Historic Preservation Board, including its composition and duties and authority. The Historic Preservation Board procedures are set forth in Section 30-4.28G of the Land Development Code. Appeals of Historic Preservation Board decisions are to the hearing officer and must be filed within 30 calendar days of the effective date of the board decision at issue. The appeal procedure is specified in Section 30-3.58C of the Land Development Code.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simmons. That brings us to old business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item under old business, Legistar number 170343, petition HP-17-39, Martin Valla, applicant for Stephan Valla, owners, certificate of appropriateness for rehabilitation of a structure at 609 Northeast 6th Street. The property is located within the Northeast Residential Historic District. And you've heard this petition several times. I have a slide to show that the applicant submitted recently, and you can discuss what's on the slide. So I'll now share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes.
So what was submitted was a new rendering of the front elevation of the house. You see they're showing a 5-inch width wood lap siding. They're showing 3-inch corner boards, 3-inch window and door trim, and 10-inch square columns. They're also showing the roof or the proposed roof pitches, 12 to 3 over here, and then 12 to 9 in this area. I believe the applicant is online, available to discuss the drawing. And I also believe that there was a letter submitted from the chair to the applicant about the information on the rendering.
Okay, Mr. Valla, this is Jay Reeves. Did you receive the email from me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Excuse me?
any questions?
I received your email about an hour ago,
Right,
so I haven't really had a chance to do very much as far as the drawing is concerned.
okay,
But I'd just like to point out that the suggestions that you made in your email to me, I'm perfectly willing to do all those things.
okay,
We put down wood with wood lap siding. That's actually, it's a 5-inch reveal, so it's 6-inch wood lap siding. And the corner boards, we looked at some houses around in the area here, and they have a trim of that size. But if you think it's better for us to have 6-inch side trim, then that's fine. We can do that as well.
well, I
And
believe,
trim around the windows and the door as well.
I was just gonna say that's actually 5-inch that I think I'd recommended on the corner boards and for the door and window casings. It does vary from house to house, 5 1/4, sometimes 5 1/2. 5 is just a good average size for that. And like I said, you've got 3 or 4 good examples of houses very similar to this one up and down the street. So if you have any questions, you can always reference one of those houses. Because that's exactly what I did. I looked at those other structures that were.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, they were all built about the same time. The biggest difference is, though, I did recommend on between the 2 windows that are on the porch, that you simply use one wide board there to go from window to window, because that's how all the other houses were.
Yeah, I mean, the distance between the two windows that are next to each other, 8 inches. And I can either put one board in there instead of having 2 that are only 3 inches apiece. So that's no worry. It's easily done.
And the reason I'm trying to give you like 5 as an average and explain, just make sure you're aware that a 1x3 is not really a 1x3. It's like a 1x2 1/2, and so you have to be careful what you call.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I'm aware of that.
Okay, good, because it makes it really tough working with old houses, because you always have to buy a bigger piece and cut it down to get it to the right size.
Sure.
Okay, and then I mentioned base and capital trim for the 10x10 columns. I think the 10x10 columns are fine, because that's about the size of the ones up and down the street on those similar houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we put those on. That's fine. I didn't know that was an important, but if you can do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't give you a detail, but if you have any questions about what these things are, you're welcome to contact me, and I can explain to you exactly what trim it is and that type of thing.
Yeah, good, okay,
Okay. All right.
fine.
So
Thanks for your help.
where, I guess, what the board is looking for is, are these recommendations you're willing to accept at this point for approval? What's that?
I mean,
Well, we would,
the rendering is different from the
Yeah.
CAD drawing is, I mean, everything's different, and I would love to see it laid out, so we know exactly.
Okay. I think what the board is asking for at this point, or at least one of the comments we've had so far, is that if we could get the information I've given you added to that drawing right there, I think we're moving in the right direction for approval.
And specifying that it's wood siding novelty, like you say.
Yeah. The siding was one question, you know, that we wanted to make sure we're all clear on. The fact it is wood siding. Now, I added the note novelty siding because that's what all of these houses had. Do you understand what that is?
Yes, yeah, I do, yes.
It's got the little profile dip in it, and like I said, it's obvious in that photograph. If you look at that photograph I attached to the email.
Yeah, yeah, so that,
Okay, Mr. Simmons, I guess the question is from the board, what are you going to require from them to approve this as a COA?
They'll need a drawing, I guess, that shows the trim and the siding and the dimensions that you and the applicant agree upon, and the materials. We'll need a drawing that shows that, you know, what you and the board and the applicant agree upon. We'll need a drawing that shows that.
Okay. Okay.
well, that's easy enough to do, but, and I could have done it if I had Mr. Reeves, before, an hour before the meeting was supposed to start. And that, are you gonna have me come back next month because you changed the drawing a little bit?
We need written confirmation. that
He's
he
wanting to know,
understands.
I think what he's at, I'm sorry you were breaking up on that the phone line was breaking up. But I believe what he's asking is he gonna have to bring it back for next month? Again,
The problem is everything's changed so many times and it's so fluid and every
Yes.
picture we get,
Several
pictures
inches,
don't
yes.
line up and.
Yeah, I mean, we've been sat there for 2 years, you know, let's see.
What's gonna be done?
okay.
Yeah, continue.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what was said.
We were just asking amongst ourselves if they want to see it come back as far as the drawing modified to show that the information on it to the board meeting, and the consensus seems to be yes.
Would you consider doing a conditional approval if I send the corrected drawing to Mr. Reeves and the final approval at that point, and not have to wait for another month?
No,
This is my 5th meeting that I'm with you at.
well, if you- no, if you ever get it right,
Okay, Billy,
okay.
you had a comment?
With the way this has gone for the past 2 years, we need to see in advance exactly what's gonna be going on. So I'm not in favor of leaving things up in the air here.
Can I just jump in and say that we emailed 5 times over the last month to get input from the board, and we got it 30 minutes before this meeting, and now we're also waiting another month. You're discussing waiting another month for us to get approval, and it's starting to be a little frustrating, if you can imagine.
I think part of the issue is it's not the board's responsibility to design the house. These are all
Thank
things
you.
that.
I
these are
agree.
all- Please let me finish. These are all things that are part of the COA application when it's turned in. And we've been very clear that we need detail. The drawings that are submitted right now have two different types of detail on the columns. you know, it's not the same house. It's not the same as the original COA. There was issues on whether the siding was wood or you wanted hardy plank. We're being very clear that it needs to be wood novelty siding. The problem is so many things have changed over the last 3 years that it's difficult to offer a decision without having something that lines up where all the drawings reflect the same perspective and the same detail, and then we can say yes. But it's not our responsibility to design the house.
Well, when you ask for us to email you feedback and we don't get it before 30 minutes before the meeting, I feel like that responsibility is on you to give the feedback in a timely manner for us to make our changes for you. I mean, the last time we were meeting, the board said they had to go back and review our staff report. And why wasn't it a month earlier or 2 months earlier when my father first showed up for the first time that the staff took their time to make sure the board knew what was on the thing? I mean, it just feels really unfair, to be honest. And now my father is saying we're going to agree to what Chairman Reeves wrote in an email, and we'll come back with a drawing with that to him. But if we could get provisional approval now so that we don't have to wait another 4 weeks, that would be really helpful.
I guess I'm okay with that if it comes back to you, Jay.
Well, it's not me to approve it, but it
Yeah,
would come
it
to
has to be the
Jason
whole-
if the board wants
Yeah.
it to. He's got a copy of this.
Jason? I'm okay with the, conditional approval, even staff.
Don't forget to use your microphone.
The mic is on.
Well, I think if you take a look at it, once it gets to Jason and see if there bears any resemblance to what we talked about,
Okay.
then we can conditionally approve.
But if it doesn't, it needs to come back.
Yeah, we just.
If there's anything that's different.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not exactly what should be on the COA, what we're asking for, it needs to come back, because,
Okay.
you know,
And
it
we
did
need to
sit there
have
for a
that
long time with nothing. Say that?
We need to have that documentation so that if it isn't the same thing that we're looking for,
Okay.
there's
Okay,
record.
I'm gonna make a motion.
Well, hang on, are we at the motion-making stage?
No, because we need to see if there's any public comment or audience comment first. Is there any audience comment on this issue? Okay. Is there any phone-in information or comment?
No, Mr. Chair, there is no public comment on this time on the phone lines.
Okay. Mr. Simmons,
Yes.
could I ask you, are you okay with this if they follow the recommendation, put the information on the drawing, bring it to you, and you take it on as a staff approval?
You have to look.
Well, I'm going to send it to you.
Yeah,
Okay, well, you will send it to us, but it would be a conditional approval, basically what we would give them today based on that.
I have no problem with the conditional approval, but
Okay,
I would be sending it to you
To the
for
board members.
review
yeah,
to make sure that
yeah,
the specific information is on there.
okay. Well, I'm okay, Bill, if you want to make a motion.
Okay, move to approve, petition HP 17-39, with, condition, this is conditionally, subject to staff approval, for the, further approval of, Chairman Reeves and/or others that may participate.
Second. If worded right.
Okay, Mr. Simmons, we've got a motion and a second. You want to roll call this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay,
And we're clear on what's happening. Everyone's clear?
yep, you would just notate the drawings you have, or if there's any details required, add them to that. And turn it back in to Mr. Simmons. He will contact us, have us review it, and then you approve it.
Are they still with us? Mr. Valla, did you hear that?
Excuse me?
Were you able to hear that? The conditional approval?
Somewhat.
What we said was that
So is it approved? It's a conditional,
it's a condi-
It's a conditional approval, right?
excuse,
but we still need, they can't
Still
start
need
anything till,
to resubmit.
if this, the sound is breaking up something terrible.
Yeah, we can't hardly hear you. I would suggest you talk to Mr. Simmons tomorrow, and he should be able to clear it up for you.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Okay, Mr. Simmons, next item under old business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legislative item 200780, petition HP-20-94, C. Weber, M. Atwater, and S. Stevenson, Pleasant Street, 6th Avenue Land Trust owners, certificate of appropriateness to demolish a single-family dwelling located at 423 Northwest 6th Avenue. This building is a contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District. Now, this is back as a result of verbal information provided by the applicants at the January meeting concerning the condition of the structure. And so there was a vote to reconsider the demolition COA for that structure. I'll share my screen to bring up what was essentially the original PowerPoint. I don't know if the applicants are in person or online.
They are here.
do we need to go through it all again?
Mr. Chairman, no, I can just bring it up for reference if needed.
Please.
Yeah, just bring it up if you would.
I mean, if there's no public comment, I think we can vote on this, can't we? I mean, do we need to?
Okay, does any of the board have any questions at this point on this, since we've seen it
No.
before? Okay. Is there any public comment on it?
Jennifer, our architect, is here to speak as per your request last time.
Okay.
Want to hear from her?
Yeah, definitely.
Jennifer Langford, architect. I know you heard from the applicants regarding the condition of the building and the expense to potentially save it. Pretty extensive termite damage. I looked at it from an architectural standpoint, and there's frankly virtually none of the original detail on the building visible at all. All the windows have been replaced. You don't have the original roof. Porch was enclosed. There's some sort of eyebrow awning has been added to the front. And if there is any original siding, it's been covered with stucco. So in terms of its historic significance from a visual standpoint, there really isn't any of it there. If we attempted to sort of restore or recreate that look, first, we don't have any pictures of what it is. So that would all end up being new construction. And I think that there's not really any indication that new construction on the front of that existing box would be any better than new construction from the ground up. So that's sort of our thought process here. And there's application for 2 additional new designs on the site for your reference.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public or call-in comment?
No, sir, Mr. Chair, there is no public comment on the lines at this time.
All right, thank you. All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to approve HP 20-00094. Period.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Hey, Jay, shouldn't they move their request for their new construction to the next item on the agenda instead
It'd be new business.
Because Elliot's next up, so that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, Mr. Simmons, the next item.
Mr. Chairman, what's the second? The next item is item 200783, petition HP-20-114. Elliot Larkin, owner. Certificate of appropriateness to construct a single-family dwelling and a request for modification of the front building placement requirement located in the 300 block of Northwest Fifth Avenue, Parcel 1. This building will be a non-contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District. Again, last month we had a presentation about the proposed structure, and the board wanted, I guess, different architectural details to be shown on the proposed structure. Let's see. This PowerPoint you saw at the last meeting. However, I have included some of the revised drawings from the applicant. This is the original east elevation for the 3 units. Here are the front and back elevations. The back elevation is on the left.
We're not seeing it.
Excuse me?
We're not seeing it on the screen.
Oh, let's see. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, we can see the staff report, but we can't see the drawing yet. Yeah.
But you can see this slide, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, I have to scroll to the revised drawings. But this is what you saw last month, including the old east elevation. These were the old front and back elevations in the old west elevation, the old images, floor plans. Oops. Now here's the revised master plan. There was some change in the front here for the third proposed duplex. Okay, so here's the revised east elevation. The smaller image is the original elevation that was submitted originally. See, they changed the detail on the gable front. They've also added a porch to the second floor on this east side and on the south side of the building. The revised front and back elevations, you see on the back elevation or the south, they're showing the balcony. And on the front, they've eliminated the exterior stairs that were on the left-hand side of the elevation, and now show a door which leads to a stairway that leads up to the second unit that's on the second floor of the building. And then here's the revised west elevation. You see again the balcony shown here on the south side of the elevation. The different trim on the gable front. And it also looks like they shifted the roof or extended the roof to cover the balcony in the back. There are also changes as far as what's on the floor plans as well. Those are the changes. I don't know if the applicant is in the audience or
Yes.
on the line.
Okay, did you have anything you want to add to it?
Yes, so if we could go back to some of those elevations, and I'd just like to explain a couple of the changes that we made. So, okay, this one's great. This is the east elevation, and particularly for the third parcel, the one that is going to be bordering all three streets. Mm-hmm. That balcony right there is, I don't know if it's technically called this, but it's a Spanish balcony where it's not, you can't stand on it. It's just two doors that open into the room, and then you have the balcony metal railing out there. So the railing itself is three-dimensional, so it protrudes out like probably 4 or 5 inches from the building itself. And so that's that one. And then the one in the back is, of course, it's 4 feet wide, that balcony up there. And what else? We added the dormer. We changed the upstairs porch, as you can see it on the front there, so that it is exposed to that east elevation as well, to give it more character when you're walking by it as well. And just added some more windows around that area, and yes, just open. Oh, and on the back side, on the south elevation, we're going to be doing a stained glass feature at the gable. That's all.
Okay. Could we see the south elevation? Mr. Summons? There you go.
Can we zoom in on it? I can't pull it up.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay, we got, board comment? Board comment or questions?
Well, I think this is a very good response to the comments that came forward at our last board meeting.
I think it's a good move forward, but I am concerned about the, you called it a Spanish style?
That's what I've been heard that it's called, yeah.
Yeah, it's just not a predominantly common historical style in this part of Florida.
That makes sense.
So I don't know about that. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's appropriate for the neighborhood.
No.
What are we talking about?
The Spanish balcony that they're putting on the side that doesn't open?
It's something you typically see more in apartments, and that's not what we're going for
Yeah.
here, is an apartment. We're going for more of a historic feel.
Okay.
Everything else looks good to me, though.
I do have a question. How far out is that roof hanging in the rear?
That's 5 feet.
That's kind of odd to not be supported.
Yes, we need to bring it to an engineer to get to that point. But
Well, I'm not worried about it standing up. I'm worried about visually for it to be hanging out 5 feet doesn't really fit the neighborhood either.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's enclosed, it's enclosed at the top half too. It's not like open to the gable.
Well, the gable is it a gable wall in line with the wall below?
Yes,
So it's really just the roof itself is going out there.
that's correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of a very
Yeah.
contemporary thing, and that's
Okay.
why I'm calling it into question.
It's hard to tell.
So bringing that back to a standard, 18 inches or 24 inches, something
Whatever
like that.
whatever the pitch is on the
Yeah.
rest of the building, because otherwise you're gonna get into doing brackets, and that's changing the whole style of the building, and yeah,
Okay.
I just think visually it's very, it doesn't really fit with
Yeah.
the historic appearance of what we're trying to go for here.
That makes sense.
And I agree about that Spanish balcony thing. I don't see that. That doesn't, it's not compatible with anything else in the
Okay.
area. Any other comments from anybody?
I have one question, really. I feel like the 3 buildings is too much mass.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's just eating up every bit of space on the lot, and every little house across the street is a little bungalow cottage. And I understand you need to maximize your investment, but I mean, we have to go back and forth so many times, and it must be frustrating for you, but it's a little frustrating for us also, because I kind of feel like we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. And I don't really understand why we need to put so much mass on that lot.
You can't just leave.
I mean, we're putting the only large building there is the church, which is a different can of worms from the single-family residences around. And even the little strip across the street is all single height. So now we're gonna come in with these 3 buildings that are 10 feet apart from each other, and it just feels massive to me. It just doesn't feel like it's in proportion to the rest of the neighborhood. No matter what you do to jazz up the buildings, if you will, just the mass of it.
And these are, what, 6 bedrooms per?
Yes, technically, each building is 6 bedrooms. That's correct.
That's 18 people in that little area.
Yeah, it's small, and they're only 10 feet apart.
Is there parking there?
Parking right in the back, one side.
Over 18 people.
Well, we do want to keep in mind that church is massive.
Yeah.
That's I mean, these are not, massive next to that church. I mean, they're a little taller than what is to the south, perhaps, or to the east, but certainly compared to the church, which takes up every inch of its portion of the site.
The church is one big massive box,
Yeah.
but this is broken down in scale.
I mean, to me, the churches are a different issue, because churches are always larger. They're always gonna be bigger.
Yeah,
So I don't think we can compare,
but
duplexes to the church as a method of comparison. There's one building there that's tall and big. Everything else is single-story height.
I think it's important to consider the street as well. Like this street was chosen as part of the CRA's redevelopment, and so it's like it's got more of an urban feel on this street with the wider sidewalks, the street lights, the brick, and everything, and then you have the business zones there, and then with the massing. Yeah, like right next to the church, it just feels like it makes sense in our opinion. That's why we're moving forward.
It's just my personal opinion. It feels like a lot of mass on a small,
It's
on
a
a
move
small
up,
space.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do that in that neighborhood, that's probably one of the streets to do it on.
But I mean, we're looking at each building individually as we go through the petitions, and I do like the changes you made on the or the east side building. I agree, the little Juliet balcony or whatever we want to call it on the side doesn't seem appropriate. I like that you don't see the staircase, but, you know, we still have the issues of the staircases on the front on the other two buildings and the, you know, the distance between them. It hasn't really changed. I didn't personally see much change on the other two buildings at all.
Did they in fact change it?
Yeah, they're the exact same as what we just looked at, except the Spanish balcony. That's the only thing. That was the only one that the east.
Say that again.
So what we looked at applies to all three buildings, except the Spanish balcony. That's going to be removed anyways.
Oh.
So they're all the exact same.
Really, it looked like it still had the 3D drawing that we were given still had the open staircase in the front.
I don't
That's
know.
what was in the
That
packet.
may be the
That
old,
that was the old
we
one.
had the old stuff too.
Yeah, we looked at the
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, really, if you superimpose that elevation on the church, which is gonna have a higher shoulder to begin with and a much higher roof pitch, these are at a significantly lesser scale.
Lesser scale, yeah.
And I think it steps down and then down around it. So I don't, if this was in the middle of one-story buildings, that'd be a different story, but it's not.
Well, keep in mind, we've had
And
a lot of
it's
two
across-
stories coming into the neighborhood,
And
which are
it's
tall
across
too.
the
Say
street.
that again?
from commercial.
We've had a lot of new houses coming into the neighborhood, which are two-story as well.
Well, that's another issue, but
And I think pulling that rear roof back's gonna help eliminate some of that mass too.
Yep.
Okay,
but then what does that do for that back balcony? And he's got no
no protection, so,
protection on the back balcony, and I like the back balcony.
well, then the other option would be bringing columns down to the ground the way you would on a traditional building.
Right.
But that's where you get your parking.
Right.
Well, there could be a cover element that to be worked out on that south elevation that would give the balconies cover.
You would do it like
Without
a shed roof
simply-
like the front porch is.
Yeah, without
Right.
running the gable out.
Good point. That's a good option.
I mean, because you do a drop truss on that south end. Well, that's you probably need to use 2x6s instead of 2x4s to extend it that far over the drop truss. So by eliminating the excessive overhang, you could work out a cover that would give the balcony cover and look appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, it's an option, yeah.
In my dreams, we meet sometime and it's not two duplexes side by side.
Sorry, I missed that.
I'm smiling behind my mask, but I said, in my dreams, one time we meet and it's not two duplexes side by side. I'm like,
All right.
All right. Any further comment? Any public comment? Audience?
Yes, sir, there's no public comment on the wires at this time.
All right, thank you. Somebody like to make a motion?
Move to approve HP 20-114.
wait.
With
the
conditions.
revision to
Conditions,
that.
Huh?
With the revision to
But-
that.
Take the balcony off.
With revisions to the south elevation
And the
And-
balcony.
and the
East
elimination
elevation.
of the Spanish balcony.
Okay. Mr. Simmons, can we have a roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, but who seconded?
Nobody.
Nobody, we need a second.
Second.
Kyra?
Thank you. Okay. Roll call vote. Elizabeth Hausauer,
No.
Michael Hill,
No.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Jay Reeves,
Aye.
let's see,
We should just continue it. We don't
I believe that
have the other two, right?
let's see, approval of the shall require a majority of vote. Yeah, if less than 4 members vote together for either approval or denial of a COA, then the matter shall be continued to the agenda for the following meeting.
What?
Didn't get enough votes.
Does it 4 out of 5?
Yeah, we gotta have a vote of 4 for it
Okay,
to get a
I'll
decision.
vote yay.
If you want to continue it.
I see you.
And that was
Continue.
Elizabeth Hausauer?
Yes,
Reluctantly.
reluctantly.
So with that change, the vote is 4-1.
Correct.
With prejudice. With prejudice.
Mr. Chairman, the next 2 items are for the other 2 duplexes shown with this project.
Okay,
I'll read them into the record, and then you can either see a presentation or vote on it. Item 200784, petition HP-20-126, Elliot Larkin, owner, certificate of appropriateness to construct let's see, to construct a multiple family dwelling and a request for modification of the front building placement requirement. Located in the 300 block of Northwest Fifth Avenue, Parcel 2. This building will be a non-contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District.
Is this in any way different from the other?
No.
exact same.
Actually, I have one other thing. Can we go back to the floor plan, or the elevation, the front elevation, Jason? Is there any way where the staircasing is enclosed on the left, that the porch could be extended all the way and that staircase start at the same level as the door to the downstairs unit? So that it doesn't look like that door is lower? Does that make any sense, what I'm saying? Because that would give more symmetry to the front of the building
It
and make.
would, yeah. I think that's one thing that bothers me a little bit about it too.
On both sides, extended on both sides, so it's all the way
Yeah,
around.
so that you step up to it onto the porch, just like you'd be stepping into the lower unit, but that door on the left would take you up the stairs. Could we do that?
That makes sense. I'm gonna have to, it's gonna change around some of the floor plan, but I think we can make that happen, so I'll do my
That would
best
make
with
me way more comfortable.
Okay.
Is that okay with you guys?
No, I agree. That would be an improvement.
That's good, very good.
Okay.
Jason, can we retroactively add that to what we just voted on?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can we retroactively add that condition to what we just voted on? That if possible,
you should-
the front porch be extended?
I think we should vote on the previous one since we're only one away from it, one, and two, to make sure that you also agree to the administrative modifications for the front yard setbacks.
We did that last time. We voted on that.
Did we?
We approved the setback on all three, but we didn't approve the plans.
Okay, so you want to revisit the previous petition to add the condition about the front elevation door to the second unit?
Extending the front porch to the entry of the upstairs unit. Is that clear enough, Elliot?
Maker of the motion approves the modification to the previous motion.
Second.
Ira approves too, so we're ready to vote, Jason.
Okay, now this is for the adding that revision to HP-20-114.
That is correct.
Correct.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
No.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
And Nicole
Jay
is here.
Reeves.
I was gonna say Nicole is here now.
Oh, she's here now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you can change your mind now. Yeah, you can vote no now.
Nicole Nesberg.
Aye.
Okay, this amended motion passes 5-1.
Okay, I'll move to approve HP 20-126 as previously discussed,
As amended.
as amended. Amendments to match the previous approval.
Second. Nicole?
Thank you. Okay, the roll call vote. Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hawk. Oh, no, I'm sorry, she's not here. Michael Hill,
No.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes. And the next item is 200785, petition HP-20-127, Elliot Larkin, owner, certificate of appropriateness to construct a multifamily dwelling and a request for modification of the front building placement requirement located in the 300 block of Northwest Fifth Avenue, parcel 3. This building will be a non-contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District.
Bill?
Motion to pass with the amendment, the staff recommendation. Nicole?
Second. Liz?
Thank you. Okay. Roll call vote. Michael Hill,
No.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Mr. Chairman, the next items are under new business. Item 200781, petition HP-20-95. C. Weber, M. Atwater, and S. Stevenson, Pleasant Street, 6th Avenue Land Trust owners. Certificate of appropriateness to construct a single-family dwelling on Lot 21 with a zoning modification request to reduce the side setback from 5 feet to 4 feet, located at 423 Northwest 6th Avenue. This building will be a non-contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District. In just a moment. Okay, I'm going to do these petitions together. There's 2 proposed single-family dwellings under consideration, one on each lot, Lot 21 and Lot 22. The zoning, and there's also a zoning modification request to reduce the side setback from 5 feet to 4 feet. So the projects involve the construction of 2 new single-family residences, one on each lot. On Lot 21, the building proposed will be a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom dwelling with about 1,552 square feet of conditioned space. On Lot 22, the building will be a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath dwelling with approximately 1,669 square feet of conditioned space. The map shows the location of the subject property highlighted in yellow. It's got RC zoning, approximately 0.12 acres of land area.
I don't see anything highlighted in yellow.
This is the survey that shows both lots 21 and 22. Now here it's showing the existing structure to be demolished that's located on both lots. On Lot 21, on the right-hand side here, you see the proposed location of the structure. This would be the location, or the approximate location of the new structure. And these are the elevations for Lot 21. You see the front elevation here in the corner, the left-hand top corner. The right side elevation is here to the right of it. The left side elevation is on the bottom, and you have the rear elevation here. These are the foundation, the roof plans for this proposed structure. You have the floor plans. So you see you have your porch, you walk into the great room, there's a bedroom in the back, and then 2 bedrooms and a loft area up on the 2nd floor. And here is the survey and site plan again. The next structure is for lot 22, which is on the left-hand side here. And this is the proposed location for the second house on lot 22, more towards the western side of the property. And here you have the elevations for lot 22. You see the front elevation at the top, the right side elevation, the left side, and the rear elevation. There's a foundation and roof plans. And also the floor plans for lot 22. Similar in that you have the 1 bedroom in the back on the 1st floor, behind the great room and the kitchen, and 2 bedrooms and a loft up on the 2nd floor. Staff recommends approval of HP 20-95 with the following conditions. That the windows shall utilize the simulated divided light grills for the chosen, they were choosing 9/1s and 4/1 grill patterns. Provide information sheets for the proposed windows and roofing material. That the board concurrently approve the request for the modification of existing zoning requirements, reducing the side yard setbacks from 5 feet to no less than 4 feet. And notify staff of any changes during construction. Again, the applicants are, I believe, are on the line, are in person. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simmons. Any questions of the board?
No, I always have questions.
We've seen it, so we've been expecting it, so.
I think the houses are, I like the houses a lot. One question is the one going on lot 22 on, I guess it would be the west side. I think the window sizes are a little, can we go back to that one? I know that the window to the right of the door is in the kitchen and the one to the left is in a bathroom. Is that right?
Jennifer Langford, architect. The way that the floor plan's set up, we have a higher ceiling in the great room than the kitchen and the bathrooms beyond it. So the header height of the windows changes. It's on the side elevation versus the front, so
Not gonna be that visible.
Does
from the
anybody,
place.
it's not that,
Yeah.
doesn't bother anybody else? Which one?
I mean, I understand your
You
concern.
see
in
what
the
I'm saying?
bathrooms.
It's like a
Yeah.
lot of different window sizes and then you've got the door, which is the shortest thing there.
Right. Well, as I said, the ceiling height changes inside,
Right.
so we wouldn't be able to put the large windows in the back. We could put the small windows in the front, but it's in the great room, and so that was the.
Yeah.
Could the
process.
window in the bathroom be the same size as the window to the right of the door?
Let me see
Would that work?
the side elevation. It could be, I think we would
So at
prefer to
least
have,
those two are the same at the same,
I think we'd prefer to have a large window in the kitchen and a small window in the bathroom.
can you put a bigger window in the bathroom?
It's up to the owners. Big window in the bathroom, anybody? She's asking about on the side elevation. That's in the kitchen. The large one next to the doors in the kitchen, and then the small one's in the bathroom, the one that's farther down to the left.
Yeah, what's the one in the bathroom? Can we see the layout of the bathroom really fast, just to make sure you're not?
So we did this several months ago, so.
Yeah.
Checking.
And what's the roofing material on these? Is it metal or,
You guys gonna be able to do metal?
I don't remember seeing it. Shingle?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
In the staff report, we show the roofing is architectural shingles.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
And to further on that, the windows would be silver lined by Anderson, V3 series with simulated divided lights and full screens. There'd be Therma-Tru Smooth Star or better doors, a stem wall foundation with a smooth stucco finish, and the porch will have a stucco column bases and hardy lap siding.
The porch is on piers though, right?
Yes, there's crawl space under the porch.
Okay.
And that window in the bathroom appears to be between the toilet and the sinks,
So,
not directly behind the toilet.
so it could be larger. Yeah, we can make it the same size and the same head height as the one next to the kitchen.
That
door.
would,
Yeah.
I think, look better.
Okay.
I'll be quiet now. Done. I've reached my quota.
Okay, she's reached her quota. Let's remember that. Any other comments from board members or questions? How about a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Actually, we need audience.
Oh, okay.
Is there any audience comment or phone in?
No, Mr. Chair, there's nobody on the lines at this time. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve HP 20-00095. Should we approve both of them at the same time?
They're together, yeah.
And HP 20
Oh, wait.
Mr. Chairman, they're separate petitions, so
Okay.
this vote is for the house on lot 21.
correct, 00095.
Okay.
Correct.
Correct. To approve that, oh, so I guess it has to be individual because we're making the change. Okay, so a motion to approve HP 20-00095 as is.
Second, Nicole?
Okay, Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes. And then,
Move to approve HP 20-0096.
Mr. Chairman, may I read that into the record first before
Yes.
you make a motion? Item 200782, petition HP-20-96, C. Weber, M. Atwater, and S. Stevenson, Pleasant Street, 6th Avenue Land Trust owners. Certificate of appropriateness to construct a single-family dwelling on Lot 22 with a zoning modification request to reduce the side setback from 5 feet to 4 feet, located at 423 Northwest 6th Avenue. This building will be a non-contributing structure to the Pleasant Street Historic District.
Go Bill.
Okay. Move to approve 20-00096
With the change to the window.
with the change to that one window.
Second, Kira?
Do you agree with the other conditions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion and a second. Okay, roll call vote. Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Just one moment. Okay, the next item.
Seeing it on the agenda.
The next item is 200786. Petition HP-21-1. Carl Warmack, Allen Roofing LLC, agent for Leon Weatherington, owner. Certificate of appropriateness to re-roof an existing multiple-family building with a metal roof, located at 102 Northwest 9th Terrace. This building is a non-contributing structure to the University Heights Historic District North. So just a moment, I have to find the PowerPoint. Okay, petition HP 21-1 is a proposal to re-roof a multiple-family dwelling with a metal roof located at 102 Northwest 9th Terrace. This is a non-contributing structure to the University Heights North Historic District. This building is an apartment development built in 1997. The proposal would install a 26-gauge rib panel metal roof over the existing asphalt shingle roof using purlins. The proposed roofing is galvalume in color and is manufactured by Tri-County Metals. This map shows the general location of shows the location of the property. It's just north of West University Avenue, right on 9th Terrace. Just to the south of it is what's currently a vacant convenience store. And over to the east of it, across the street, is basically the back of the Checkers drive-through restaurant. So you see a couple of shots of the apartments. It's a 5-unit building with a little over 4,600 square feet of heated space. There's an existing gable hip roof that has asphalt shingles. And you see the shots of the building, and then across the street you see the dumpster pad for the Checkers, as well as some parking and the drive-through lanes for the Checkers. The proposal would install a 26-gauge rib panel metal roof over the existing asphalt shingle roof. It would be ultra-lock roof panel over the 1/4 wood purlins. Staff recommends approval of HP-21-1. The Historic Preservation Board approves metal roofing on a case-by-case basis, depending on the style and use of the building. And it should be noted that this property is adjacent to a commercial area. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or comment? Any public comment?
No, sir, not on the lines at this time. The floor is yours.
Thank you.
I did have one question.
Yes.
We were talking earlier about how blue on blue for the metal roofs. Do you think that wouldn't be as much of an issue here because of the lower pitch?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the lower pitch is the negating factor.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's an apartment too.
Yeah.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
Move to approve HP 21-2.
-1. -1.
I don't see a -1.
Oh.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Liz is the second, Bill's the motion maker.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes. Just a moment. Okay, the next item is item 200787, petition HP-21-2, Lawrence C. Hood, owner, certificate of appropriateness to re-roof a portion of an existing single-family dwelling with a metal roof located at 629 Northeast Boulevard. This building is a non-contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District. In just a second. Chairman, this is a house on the boulevard at 629 Northeast Boulevard. The proposal under consideration with this application would install a 26 gauge ultra-lock panel metal roof over 15 over 32 inch plywood. The roofing would be galvalume in color and manufactured by Tri-County Metals. Now, the primary structure here has a slightly sloped roof on the approximately front 2/3 of the house. The back 1/3 is flat, along with the roof on the carport, which is also part of this proposal. The metal roof is proposed only for the sloped portion of the roof. The flat roof portion of the house, as well as the carport, would be replaced with TPO, a thermoplastic polyolefin, which is a single-ply roofing membrane that can be used to cover flat roofs. The map shows the location of the property. It's not far from the Thomas Center, located between 6th and 7th Avenues on Northeast Boulevard. It's got single-family 3 zoning. Now, the dwelling, it's a 1-story, non-contributing structure built in 1954, but it does have a mid-century modern architectural style with a gable hip roof. It's about 1,492 square feet of heated space. Now the flat roof portion of this has a sort of tar and gravel surface, and the owner indicated that he couldn't find anybody to replace that portion of the roof with the same sort of material. But you see the different shots here. It is a fairly low profile roof on the structure. The aerial and location of the sloped roof, you see the house located here, 629 Northeast Boulevard. And the rendering here shows the blue area is the area of the house that's sloped, and the rest is flat. Now, the recommended metal roofing for most buildings in the districts are, standing seam metal or 5V crimp metal, as spacing of these roofs is more sympathetic with historic metal roofs, and exposed fasteners are not as numerous or visible. So the existing structure is a non-contributing single-family building, although it was part of the recent mid-century modern survey of the city. The covering on flat roofs is not visible from the right-of-way. The principal structure has a low slope roof, and it's not easy to see the surface of the roof from the right-of-way. The installation of a metal roof on this structure will have, staff believes, very little visual impact on the surrounding neighborhood. The roof chosen would be the ultra rib, as manufactured by Tri-County Metals. So the metal roof is proposed only for the sloped portion of the roof. The flat roof portion of the house, as well as the carport, will be replaced with the TPO. The board approves metal roofing on a case-by-case basis, depending on the style and use of the building. Talked about, for most buildings in the district, the recommended roofing is standing seam or 5V crimp. But in this case, the low-profile roof of the mid-century modern style house limits the view of any exposed fasteners. So with that, staff recommends approval of petition HP-21-00002. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, board, questions?
I have one. TPO is typically white. Is this also going to be white for the flat side of the roof?
A second, I'm not sure I know what the color will be. I don't know if the owner is on the line, but I think the TPO is typically a lighter color,
Okay.
but I don't have it called out specifically in the application.
I guess if we can't see it, it's not that much of a deal.
I
Now,
don't think you're
the
gonna see
metal
it.
would be Galvalume.
Yeah. Okay,
I had a question about the fence, though. Can we combine, a request to remove the fence with this?
that's a separate issue that has to be handled by code
So how
enforcement.
can we read that into the,
Talk to Jason after the meeting.
say that again?
Talk to Jason after the meeting.
Okay,
I mean, there's also this section, member comment.
there you go. Member comment?
Any other comments or questions on this one? Do we have a motion?
Any public-
Move HP 21-2, noting that the low visibility of the roof from the street.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Liz, seconds.
Chairman, did you open it up to public comment?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
There was no one on the lines here. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Mr. Simmons.
So Bill motioned, Elizabeth Hausauer seconded.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, roll call vote. Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
You're so quiet.
In just a moment as I bring up the next PowerPoint. Okay, the next item item 200788, petition HP-21-3, Doug Nesbitt, Atlantic Design and Construction, agent for Paul S. and Laura J. Richards, owners. Certificate of appropriateness to construct a detached guest house, accessory dwelling unit with associated modification to the north side setback, located at 206 Northeast 7th Street. The new building will be a non-contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District. In just a moment. Mr. Chairman, board members, this project is for the construction of a detached guest house for the single-family dwelling at 206 Northeast 7th Street. The guest house, otherwise known as an accessory dwelling unit. The proposal to build a one-story detached guest house in the northwest corner of the lot. It would be considered an accessory dwelling unit under the provisions of section 30-5.35 of the city's land development code. An ADU is an allowed use by right in the urban 2 zoning district. That's the zoning for this property. And the size of the proposed ADU is 498 square feet of conditioned area. You see the map showing the location of the house on the corner of 7th Street and Northeast 2nd Avenue, across from the school board headquarters. It's got urban 2 zoning with about 0.23 acres of land area. So you see some pictures here of the structure. You see this is in the left-hand corner, the side of the house that faces Northeast 2nd Avenue. The front of the house here is actually fronts on Northeast 7th Street. And the picture in the right-hand corner sort of shows about where the accessory dwelling unit is proposed to be located, back sort of next to the garage that you see on the left-hand side. So this existing house, the single-family dwelling, is a 2-story contributing structure that was built in 1913 according to the Florida Master Site File. Now it's a wood frame, colonial revival according to the site file, although some of the websites call it a Queen Anne style Victorian. It's noted for its size and details. The exterior is narrow weatherboard with wood shingles, a brick pier foundation, a gable hip roof with cross gables for the secondary roof structure. There are modular metal shingles on the roof and 2 brick chimneys. The ornamentation on the house includes ionic columns on the porch and the entry portico. The building is approximately 2,595 square feet of heated space and over 3,200 square feet of total area. And this is a rendering of the proposed guest house. You see located sort of in the back and side of the existing structure. Now what they're showing, the roof slope for the proposed accessory structure is 10 to 12 to match the existing roof pitch of the principal structure on the property. The gable details mimic the existing elevations with a horizontal eyebrow separating cementitious board shingles on the upper section and hardy plank siding wrapping the walls below. The silver asphalt architectural shingles, Tamco shingles, will be used to approximate the style of the existing roof. The proposed doors are PGT swinging doors, while the windows are PGT single hung style, and it would have a monolithic foundation. And here you've got the elevations for the structure. You see the front elevation with the front door right here. The proposed new guest house accessory structure is located behind the principal structure near the rear side yard of the property, and it will be visible from the street. But the distance from the curb to the front of the proposed structure is over 70 feet on the Northeast 2nd Avenue side, while the distance from the curb to the side of the proposed structure is over 90 feet on the Northeast 7th Street side, which will help minimize the visual impact on the street. The new structure utilizes materials and textures consistent with the principal building, such as the hardy plank siding, the roof pitch with silver architectural shingles to simulate the roofing on the principal house, and comparable gable details. The main windows proposed on the new structure are 1/1 style, which matches the main windows on the house. Now, this is the original site plan that was submitted with the COA application. Now, the proposal does meet most of the provisions of section 30-5.35, accessory dwelling units. That's the section from the city's land development code. The proposed 498 square feet is less than the maximum 850 square feet allowed by that section. The auxiliary building has been designed as a subordinate structure to the primary structure on the lot in terms of its mass, size, height, and architectural character. However, the proposal does not meet the provision about compliance with all standards applicable within the zoning districts, specifically the required setbacks, as the applicants are requesting a modification to the setback for the north property line in order to place the ADU in that proposed location. Here's a site plan, again, showing what everything looks like on an aerial. You see the proposed building here, existing structure. Now, on this drawing, they were showing a 2-foot setback from the north property line to the wall of the proposed building. Now, since their original submittal, they've submitted a revised site plan. After consultation with the city's building department and making a few tweaks to the overhangs on the building, the proposed building, that north side setback is now shown to be 3 feet 4 inches in width. Now, when the staff report was prepared and what you have in the staff report, I was thinking that this would be a rear setback for that accessory dwelling unit since it fronts on 2nd Avenue. However, since then, I've learned that the interpretation is that as the principal structure on the house and the address for the house, for that matter, is along 7th Street, that for the property as a whole, the north setback would be considered a side setback for any of the structures on the property. So the side setback for this zoning district would be 5 feet. So they would need a modification of that side setback from 5 feet to what they're showing now at 3 feet 4 inches. They're fine on the rear setback. They're showing 10.5 feet from the property line located here. Now, let's see. Now, the accessory dwelling unit as shown would not meet actually that would now be the side yard setback requirements for the urban 2 zoning district, which requires a rear setback of 5 feet minimum. The front entrance, so this is the old one. So that the ADU will require a side yard setback reduction at the north property line to no less than 3 feet 4 inches, where 5 feet is required. Now, because there's a request for a modification, we notify adjacent property owners that are impacted by that setback modification. We notify them by letter, and we have done so in this case, and the adjacent lot owner has expressed opposition to the zoning modification request. Again, indicating, I think, even at the 5 feet, he doesn't consider that enough distance between what's basically a dwelling unit and the property line. So from that owner's standpoint, the request may affect the public safety, health, or welfare of the abutting property owner. The proposal does reflect a typical development pattern or design theme in the district concerning the location of accessory structures near property lines. The design of the ADU will not detract from the aesthetic character of the house. The requested modification is generally appropriate for the historic district, but the board should deliberate on the request and the appropriate distance between a dwelling unit and the adjacent property line. The new addition will be consistent with Standard 9. New additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work is differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with the massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. Now, hold on a second, I'm going to stop the share for a moment to bring up something else. So just a moment.
No, he's looking something up.
I also have, I don't know if the applicant is on the line, but I do have a letter from the adjacent property owner to the board indicating that they have received notice of the intention of the neighbors, Paul and Laura Roberts, to build a guest house at the rear of the property at 206 Northeast 7th Street. I live next door at 210 Northeast 7th Street. The proposed guest house would be built near, really on our joint property line. My neighbors are kind and appealing people whom I like very much. However, I have very strong objections to the current plan. Number one, the requested modification would allow the guest house to encroach on the side yard setback. Although in the letter, because we had thought that this would be the rear setback of 10-foot minimum. It's actually a side setback, so it's a 5-foot minimum setback. And because of the applicant's conversations with the building department, they would be building it at 3 feet 4 inches from the property line. The building of an inhabited dwelling one step away from the line fills me with unease, even dread. My wife and I value the peace and quiet of our house and property, where we have lived since 1984. We are both writers who need that peace and quiet to pursue our work. A guest house practically on the property line with a rear window, though overhead height, overlooking our backyard would amount to an infringement of our ability to enjoy the privacy of our yard, and would put a house within sight and hearing of my wife's studio at the back of our house. Number two, though the occupant of the guest house, Mrs. Roberts' father, would probably never be bothersome, the guest house might later, perhaps under other owners, be rented to tenants who would in effect be standing next to our property and might not be so quiet. This would also infringe on the peace and tranquility we enjoy. Number three, I believe our property value would be significantly reduced by siting the structure less than an arm's length from our property. Were I in the market for a house in the duck pond, I would not be interested in one with a rented guest house hard by my property. I therefore request that the board deny the proposed modification and that the guest house be sited according to the codes. Again, it was 10-foot setback in the letter, but it would actually have to be 5, which is the minimum for the side setback. If a modification is necessary, the board might allow the guest house to be sited near the main building. And he wasn't going to be able to attend Tuesday's meeting, so again, I don't know if he's on the line now or not.
We don't have anybody on the phone lines at this time on this item.
But I believe I see him I see him though, so he's here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can, yes.
All right. Do you want me to add anything or just comment?
Well, let me read this first.
Fine.
So staff recommends approval of HP 21-0003 with the following conditions. That the HPB approve the modification of existing zoning requirements, reducing the side yard setback from 5 feet to no less than 3 feet with conditions, including no windows to be placed on the north elevation of the ADU, the shifting of the building as much as possible towards the principal structure to gain a foot or some extra inches for the setback distance, and explore the placement of a fence to provide a barrier between the properties in the location of the ADU, and also notify staff of any changes during construction. Again, in the midst of all this process, after the applicants talked with the building department, they have shifted the building closer to the principal structure, probably as much as they can to meet the building code. And that offers about 3 feet 4 inches from that north property line. However, we still would want to see no windows on that north elevation looking out into the neighbor yard. And it should be noted that there is no fence currently between the properties, so you can see right through that area into the neighboring yard. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you might have. The agent for the applicant, Doug Nesbitt, is on the line, as well as the adjacent property owner.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Simmons. Board questions or comment?
Jason, what is the rear property setback requirement?
10 feet.
It's 10 feet.
The rear setback is 10 feet. However, because a later interpretation, we found that because the principal structure is sited
No,
towards 7th Street,
I understand that part. What I'm saying is now the setback on the west side is only at 9 feet, correct?
no, with the revised drawing, that setback is now 10.5 feet from the property line.
Okay,
After they shifted the building per their discussions with the building department.
that's the old one.
So the issue is really just
Do we have that drawing in our computer, in our package, the new drawing?
It's probably not in your staff report. It's here on the screen now under the revised site plan.
So on the west side, that's 10 feet and change now, right there?
10.5 feet, yes.
Okay. Well, I personally, I think it's too large. I have an objection to us approving things that are so close to a property line. This isn't the first time we've run into this. Water's gonna shed off of that again. We had that issue on another one, you know, right on to the property line and even over a fence if there was a fence there. And I understand the situation, but I think it's too large for the positioning.
I agree, Liz. New development, new construction, this can be hard down, and especially with an objection, and a very eloquent objection, they deserve consideration as well.
The property just looks too crowded to put it in.
Mr. Chair, if I may, this is Doug Nesbitt with Atlantic Design.
Yes.
For the applicant. We've done a lot to try and squeeze this into the existing setbacks here. At this point, we're viewing trying to get only one variance, right, rather than get both the west and the north property lines. I know that the neighbor to the west would have no objection to moving that direction, and I think we could move, even as the building's designed now, move slightly to the west, encroach on that 10-foot setback, and move it closer to 2nd Avenue to get it off of the north, to get it to the 5-foot setback on the north property line. Of course, then we'd be asking for a variance on the west side. That does abut an existing garage from the neighbors just to the west that is built directly on the property line. The garage is built on the property line as is. So we're, trying to squeeze this in with that garage would not be built under these conditions, but it exists, it's grandfathered in. So we're trying to squeeze it in with that condition. We would also run into the same circumstance with the buildings being close to each other, because we have there's fire code there that doesn't allow us to get closer than 5 feet from overhang to overhang, and that's one of the constraints here that we're dealing with to try and put this building in place. We also had explored an addition to the house, but it seemed an accessory dwelling unit was a better way to go because it would not alter the contributing structure nearly as much. With an accessory dwelling unit, it's a separate unit, separate building, and we would be not touching the original house, the original historic contributing structure. So that's how we ended up with an accessory dwelling unit, and also just kind of giving you a little more background as to the differences in those setback lines. If we did move to the west, I think we'd be asking for more, like closer to a 3.5 to, I think, like a 4-foot setback. We'd be asking to move 6 feet away from the property line on the west side. So that's kind of why we ended up where we did, because it was the most minimal variance request, right? At this point, we're extending 17 inches over the setback. So that's, I don't know if you have any questions about that, but I'm happy to answer them. Of course, I'm happy to talk about how we can, you know, if the board sees a better way to make this work, I'm all ears. So,
Okay, thank you for the additional information.
sure.
So the issues with the neighbor to the north, right?
Neighbor to the north, correct.
Yes, the neighbor to the north is the one that doesn't want it near his property.
Any more than is allowed, which is 5 feet.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it just like, okay, like I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, I understand that, but it's like, I don't know, I just feel like even if they were to move it, because that's the garage of the neighbor to the west, if they were to put it there, it just still looks really crowded on that property. Maybe it's just distortion, but,
I am just opposed to setback variances when we get into this. I think we're just trying to jam something that's too big into the corner of the yard.
yeah, it's just, yeah, I'm with
I
you.
mean, if they can find a way to design it so it fits within the setbacks, then
I appreciate there was an effort to make this harmonious with the primary structure. However, it seems to me with your design ability, it should have been the case to work within the setbacks on a new piece of construction and achieve your objective without having to have any variance at all.
Another thing too, I would like to mention, if let's just say hypothetically, if they go to move it to the west property line, you know, how are you going to incorporate privacy? Because I'm like, I don't know about you guys, but it's like if you look through this window, you can see the neighbor's house, and I'm like,
That's not the neighbor's house, it's a garage.
oh, it's a garage.
And a driveway beside it.
You know, now the question is, to the neighbor's house to the west, is there even a backyard there? Because is there even a possibility
It's
of
on the other side of the
backyard?
garage.
What's
On
up?
the other
It's
side
on
of the
the other
garage.
side of the garage.
Okay, so the garage actually blocks like the view into the backyard. Okay.
That's correct. You can't see into the backyard of the neighbor's house.
Okay.
Because of the garage that's actually, the existing garage there that you see in that photo is, the garage is actually on the property line.
Yeah.
The foundation of the garage is on the property line. The overhang of that garage actually extends into the applicant's property. So, you know, and that's actually kind of a constraint that we're you know, trying to not.
reason not to move it
It's
to
like
the west.
we're not trying to crowd that area.
Yeah.
There's lots of room to the north and on the northern neighbor's property. There's quite a large backyard, but you know, obviously we don't want to encroach on that setback more than we have to, and that's, like I said, we're looking at 17 inches is what we've kind of come up with after all these different variables, and you know, we've reduced the overhangs because we have a fire. Like I said, we have a fire issue there. Buildings can't be closer than 5 feet. So, you know, and it's a pretty minimal size. I think Jason alluded to, Mr. Simmons alluded to that it's like, I think the limit is like 900 square feet. Of course, you know, I think we're under 5. So it's a pretty small footprint for a accessory dwelling unit for what it is. It's a studio apartment with laundry and a bath. There's not a lot of excess space in the floor plan. So, of course, we could, you know, I'm sure we can make it somewhat smaller, but I don't think that really changes what we're looking at as far as use. And, you know, it might just make the building a even more odd shape and make it, you know, a little bit different, you know, relationship to the existing structure.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider here.
Well, I'd like to see you try to make it fit within the existing setbacks. If you have to shave 18 inches the length of the building off the back side, that's probably what, 40 square feet? I know it's not a big building to begin with, but
Yeah.
I just think that if you can make the effort to make it fit within the setbacks, it would certainly make me more comfortable. I do think it's a cute little building.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the design of it's very nice, but I just think it needs to fit the space.
I just want to get some clarification from the board too, if I may. I'm wondering, we moved away from an addition to the structure because it's a contributing structure. This could easily be added onto the back of the building. I'm assuming, I just made the assumption that the board would not, would not look on that in the same regard. Like an accessory dwelling unit is preferable to a addition. I just want to make sure I'm correct on that.
No.
Well, I think what you're hearing us say is an accessory dwelling unit that fits within the setback lines is a desirable alternative to addition.
But would you have any objection if it was an addition to the house?
No,
I don't,
not
I
necessarily.
wouldn't either. I think that would be more appropriate, frankly.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think an addition to the house is really a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, I feel like, yeah, that'd be,
It would be more balance and in scale to the property.
I'd like to get input on what the neighbor to the north thinks about that.
Yeah, but make sure if you change your notes, I just got a message that it's hard to hear on the other side of things.
Okay.
So what I think I just heard is that the board is saying that they'd rather have, an addition would be more appropriate than an accessory dwelling unit?
Accessory dwelling is fine, but if you need to get the setbacks diminished for that, and you have enough property to do an addition to the house, then the addition might be preferable in that case.
Because then you don't have to worry about all those 5 feet, being 5 feet from the dwelling. I think there's plenty of room right there to add on rather than what you have proposed.
I think the setbacks there become larger too with the house, so we'd have to look into that. The setbacks for the accessory dwelling unit are actually less than they would be for the main structure.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what those would be. And
It looks like you have a lot of room to the west of the house.
Oh, yeah.
there is, but that's technically the rear because of the way the house is facing. So, that setback line becomes less.
Right.
We're in a little bit of a weird situation too because we are on the corner of 2nd and 7th. So,
Right.
if this was for instance, if this was Mr. Logan's house just to the north, then he'd have, a house on both sides to the north and south, and the sight line you would not be able to see this property at all. This is only able to see from either road because it's on the corner, which is exactly why we're trying to place it in the back corner of the property.
Well, I would say we continue it and have
Yeah.
them either come back with one that fits within the setbacks or an addition.
I agree.
Yeah, we need further clarification on this. There's too many things at play.
Well, if it's an addition, it's an entirely new COA.
That would be a brand new thing, yeah. But if they can't get it to fit within the setbacks.
I'm not suggesting that we're showing you an addition. I'm just getting clarification on what would be preferable. We had made the assumption that the accessory dwelling unit would be preferable to altering the historic structure in any way. So, and
We'd like
I
you
guess,
to explore these other options.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We'd like you to explore these other options.
Yeah, certainly. I don't mean, we can do our best to try and, change the footprint to fit within the setback. We've looked at that already, but happy to do that if we can. I would like some clarification, I guess, if we are able to do that. I don't see any reason why we would have any accommodation for removing windows off that side. If everything's within the setback line, I don't know why we would remove windows or be required to build a fence. any of those things, as long as the property is within the setback. Is that fair?
That's correct. If it's in the within the setback, then there are no special conditions.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they could.
So if we can get this structure within the setback line, and then we probably, back to our original design as far as where windows are, and no need to put fencing up or anything like that. There would be no conditions if we were within the 5 foot and 10 foot setbacks as shown on the property, the site plan.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I don't think, it doesn't sound like we're getting approval here, so I'm happy to continue this and to bring it back to you next month if the board is willing to do that. I'm be happy to look at it again and see what we can do to make everything work.
Okay.
May I make a motion to?
Any public comment?
Yes, may I comment? I'm the fellow who lives on the north. As I mentioned in the letter, I like my neighbors very much. They're the third set of owners since we bought the house in '84. And I like Doug Nesbitt. He's done work on my house on a number of occasions. But I do feel that that the structure will be crowded from my point of view, and from where we sit, it's going to make the property look monolithic. It doesn't have that much of a division from the house to the guest house, and I certainly don't want it within the setback. The setback is very minimal for that. I would certainly be happier if it were larger, but the rule is the rule. I just want it to be within the rule.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll probably build a fence if they're going to have windows on that side.
Okay, thank you. All right, there's no public comment. Well, we had public comment, so you want to go make a motion to continue?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I had one other thing, and I don't know if this matters for this point, and we might just resubmit this, but we did come up with some maps, some original maps from the Matheson Museum that does show an older structure in that same location. That's obviously not there now, and it's unclear exactly what it was, but there are servants' quarters, and there was a structure in the back corner of that property at some point. Again, there's probably a zero setback at that point, or maybe not even on a setback. I don't know that changes your decision right now, but I just wanted to point out that there was at some point some existing historical structure in the backyard there that's up against the property line. So
yeah, historically, we had a lot of garages and barn-like structures that were put to the property line back corners. Not often would you see living quarters put there, though.
Well, on one of them, it's actually I think Sam could share the image if you wanted to see it, but it does show it says servant's house. Actually, it's out close to 2nd Avenue on the west side of the property. I don't know if it's important right now. I just wanted to point out that, we did a little bit of research there to see what the historical relevance was, and there was some existing structure there. Obviously, we don't have any photos of that. It's just a map from, it's a pretty minimal map even, but wanted to point that out.
Well, it happens to have been the case that about 25 years ago, there was a concrete block, simple rectangle there at the corner of the porch where the kitchen is. That was removed. That was a more recent placement in that location.
But there's nothing there now, so
No,
It's
gone.
kind of irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
May I mention that in 1984, when we bought it, the driveway would have led up to the guest house, and that
Right.
was changed under a previous owner to a driveway that entered on 7th Street, and that driveway was taken up and grassed over. There was also at one point a shed that straddled the property line, which made getting a mortgage difficult without the permission of the owner. Now that's all gone now, and I would say it doesn't need to be considered.
Okay,
Make a motion?
make a motion.
I make a motion to continue HP 210003.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Simmons?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Next item.
Thank you.
Okay,
It's Bertrand.
the next item is 200789, petition HP-21-4, Kim Popejoy, owner, certificate of appropriateness to re-roof an existing single-family dwelling with a metal roof located at 300 Northeast 13th Avenue. This building is a non-contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District. And just a moment while I pull up the PowerPoint. Okay, this proposal would overlay the current shingles on the house with metal roofing. This is the property at 300 Northeast 13th Avenue. There would be installation of purlins over the top of the existing roof material, and then a 29 gauge Galvalume ultra rib metal roofing panel system would be placed over the top of the purlins. The roofing system is manufactured by Tri-County Metals. The map shows the location of the house right near Northeast Park on the north side of 13th Avenue. It's RSF2 zoning with about 1.32 acres of land. So the existing single-family dwelling, it's a two-story non-contributing structure that was built in between 1996 and 1998 in its current state. The original structure, which was a one-story brick house, was built in 1935. This house has a gable hip roof and wood shingle and brick exterior walls. The building's about 2,300 square feet of heated space and just under 2,800 square feet of total area. The existing roof has architectural asphalt shingles that are at the end of their useful life, according to the owner. You see some of the pictures of the existing structure. The product would be the ultra rib paneling by Tri-County Metals. Now, the existing structure is a non-contributing single-family building. The structure has a high slope roof, but it is not highly visible from the street since the slope faces away from the street. In addition, there's currently extensive tree cover on either side of the house, which further limits the visual impact of a metal roof on the adjacent neighboring properties. The installation of a metal roof on this structure will have very little visual impact on the surrounding neighborhood, and thus it's felt to be compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. The board approves metal roofing on a case-by-case basis. Again, usually 5E crimp or standing seam because of the limits on the exposed fasteners. In this case, the roof's not highly visible from the street since the slope faces away from the street. And with the extensive tree cover on either side of the house, that further limits the visual impact of the roof on the adjacent neighboring properties. So with that, staff recommends approval of petition HP-21-4. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Questions of the board, comments?
Yeah, why is this considered non-contributing?
Built in 96, wasn't it?
Mr. Chairman, from what I can gather, and again, I wasn't involved when this happened, but it appears there was a one-story brick structure built in 1935 that was at this location. And then work was done to convert it into a two-story house that you see. And that was done from 1996 to 1998. And my guess is that the change to the original structure was so significant that it was felt to be a non-contributing structure afterward.
That's what happened. It was enlarged to a two-story structure, but that was back before it was located in the historic district. Yeah.
So it should be contributing, right? Or not?
No.
It's altered.
It's altered.
It's altered.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, historically, a lot of houses went through alterings that are considered contributing.
Yeah,
It's just that's a fairly significant altering.
And it,
So does that mean like majority of the materials are like newer as opposed to older?
Yeah.
Well, the original house is still there because it was only a one-story, one-bedroom house.
They just built on top of it.
They just built on top of it. Okay.
Built on top of it.
You did a nice job. It's cute.
Thank you.
Did you do it? Oh, I like this one. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I have no objection to this roof going metal. That's my input on the metal roof.
What?
I have no objection.
Same here.
My question is, why changing roofs from what we normally would do in the district? Again, is it because it's not as visible?
Are you asking
Oh,
me
that's-
this
That-
question?
I think it is visible.
I kind of think it is too, particularly on the other direction, coming from
You're traveling east or west.
coming from the west. Yeah, it's more so than trees hide when you're coming at it from the
But if
east.
they're saying it's non-contributing, do we have any sway on that?
Yeah.
It's in the district.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
It's located in the district now, yeah,
I think not only is
because non-contributing structures are held to the same standards as contributing structures. in
And
the
it's
district.
only by unique hardship
Yeah.
that we vary from that,
Gotcha.
as we have done.
Not only is it very visible, but the
But this
glare
is
off
a-
of that slope is
This is not a
hazardous.
unique hardship. No, I don't see any reason to depart from our standards.
What color, Mr. Simmons, is proposed?
Right, I think.
I believe it's Galvalume,
Which would be a bright silver roof.
29 gauge Galvalume.
What if we recommended that he do it in a dark, like a charcoal color?
Well, it's
Yeah, I might.
it's the not doing a standing seam or 5A. This is a more contemporary material.
Yeah,
Mr.
My question is, given enough time, it is a contributing structure.
Yeah.
And, you know, and every time we introduce a metal roofs into the district that is not one we normally approved, guess what? It gets thrown back at us as a precedent.
Yeah.
If we specify the 5B or the other one in a darker color, standing seam in a darker color, approve it?
Well, I don't know if the color is an issue because you don't see it from the front of the house.
No, but Kira's right. I mean, that's a pretty big slope from the west side.
Well, it's pretty visible as you're
Yeah,
traveling
so-
north,
But if it
east
were
to
darker,
west.
it would blend with the house
It's
better.
quite visible. So it should be either standing seam or 5B.
Dark color. Would you be okay with that? No? Okay. I'd be okay with that, but I don't know where everybody else stands.
I've approved too many that made it hard to sleep at night. I'm not doing it no more.
Any kind of metal roof?
Only ones like before where you literally can't see.
Oh,
Ask the applicant if they'll go to either 5B or standing seam.
We could, I guess, approve it conditionally.
The applicant is on the
Is he?
line.
I'm getting the ocean in my head again.
Oh, I've got him. Hello?
How you doing?
I'm doing fine, trying to figure out how to do
Did we lose him?
video stuff, but it doesn't appear to be working, so you guys are stuck with my name. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great, because it's very difficult to hear anybody that's actually in the building itself. So much of what you have discussed, I've not been able to hear.
Okay.
5B or standing
I-
seam.
Okay, what we were just discussing as a board.
Jason, just fine, and when I called in, the operator that picked up my call said she was having the same issue, that anybody that was in the building, either on the dais or at the pulpit or scar, were difficult to hear.
Yeah. Kim, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you much better, thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm right at the mic speaking into it.
Great.
What the board's been discussing is that we're questioning why this roof is not one of the roofs that we normally approve in the historic district.
Why what?
Why it is
I'm
not
sorry,
one of the
you broke up.
roofs, the roof types that we normally approve in the historic district, either a 5V crimped or a standing seam. And the question is, why would this house be the exception to that rule?
As I assume that you guys are aware, this house was built before the historic district was expanded to include it. So yes, it is a non-contributing structure. The choice of the metal is one that the Keeler Roofing recommended as the best and most economical metal to put on this roof. So that's where it stands at this moment.
Okay.
Can I say something else to you guys? A little bit off topic, but I've been to many board meetings and I've been to many commission meetings, and this particular meeting has been my most enjoyable because I could stay home, have a glass of wine, waiting on my turn.
We wish we were doing that.
We're
too.
very envious.
Right there with you.
All right.
All right.
Okay, well, the concerns the board has expressed so far is that It's a different type of roofing we don't normally approve in the district. Your house technically is called out as a non-contributing, but give it enough time, it will be. And it started out as a historic house. And the problem is, as we look at it from the board, we're introducing another roof into the district that we don't want to see more of. Your house becomes a precedent for that type of roofing.
Do you have an objection to doing 5V or the standing seam instead?
I have no experience and have not discussed that with the roofer. And so I can't honestly answer that question. However, it's my understanding that you guys have approved this particular roofing structure previously in the district. Am I wrong when I say that? And perhaps Mr. Simmons can answer that question.
For contributing structures, the chairman is correct that we typically recommend standing seam or 5V crimp. In this district, I don't know that, I can't recall certainly recommending the ultra rib, other than like we just approved one earlier this evening for the relatively flat roofed, century style modern house.
That was non-contributing also. The reason we approved it is nobody could see it. This house, it will be very apparent.
This house does have a east-west profile on its roof. And I find it difficult to understand how a decision can be made based upon potential future circumstances as opposed to making a decision based upon what's appropriate this moment.
I think the concern is the fact that the roof, this type of roofing, no matter what we put up there, is visible. And that is the concern.
So,
I object to the color too, frankly.
well, either continue or take a vote.
Dark matter, I have no problem with it, if it was the right kind of dark matter.
Okay.
All right.
What we are proposing, Kim, is that we continue it and then that give you time to explore other options. Because right now, just about everybody up here has concerns. So I don't think it's going to pass tonight.
All right. So my question to you guys is, can you provide guidance to Jason as to what roofing material that is metal-based would be acceptable to the board?
Okay, fair enough.
Can we just tell them 5V or yes?
5V or
Well, 5V or
standing
standing seam is normally what is in our guidelines.
And I will have a conversation with Jason the rest of this week and make sure that I fully understand what it is that the board is requiring.
So does anybody else agree on the color, or am I a standalone on the color?
Well, Jason can take care of that.
Well, I also would bring it to your attention that some members had an issue with a silver roof because of possible light reflection problems because of that roof being so steep. So I don't know if there's any other options you've thought about, but like I said, that's not a given. That's just comments.
Mr. Chairman, they're proposing galvalume as the color.
Yes, which is silver.
Right.
I to understand that in order to satisfy the desires of various members of the board, that I need to propose a color that is not galvalume or silver.
Like a dark gray.
That's not a condition at this point, because those were just comments. And I don't think it's the whole board at this point, so.
There's a recommended range of color.
Yeah, I think they were asking more, had you considered other options?
What other options would those interested members consider more appropriate? What other colors?
Great.
I think the only one that's been discussed and is an option we've talked about for certain houses is a dark gray, but like I say.
Dark gray, and those, to your knowledge, are available in the required and limited metal roofs that you're recommending.
Yes, and I will give Jason an address of one in the neighborhood that's been put on, just so you could see it as an example.
That would be great.
Okay.
All right, so Jay, thank you very much for moving closer to the mic. I would ask for the balance of all meetings in the future that you guys, all of you, consider moving closer to your mics or getting your sound engineer to make the mics more hot, so that those of us that are coming into this meeting via the web are actually able to hear you more clear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's have a motion.
All right, move HP 21-4 to be continued.
Okay, Bill has a motion to continue. Do we have a
Second, Nicole?
Nicole seconds. Jason?
Thank you. Okay, the roll call vote. Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes to continue.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simmons. On to the next.
Before we can get approval to.
I got two more at least.
Oh, no, I mean for Kreppel, isn't it Kreppel next?
For Greppel is, oh, yeah. And the one after that too.
Yeah.
What's happening? Oh, you have to recuse yourself.
Okay, then, the next item under new business is 200790, petition HP-21-6. Amy Krappel and Zachary Selden, owners. Certificate of appropriateness to install fencing around the property of an existing single-family dwelling located at 635 Northeast First Street. This building is a contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District. In just a moment. Okay, this is a project to install fencing around the property at 635 Northeast First Street. It's a single-family dwelling, although in recent years it has been an office space. It has recently undergone some renovation and conversion back to being a single-family dwelling. So the proposed fencing includes a 4-foot tall black metal fence along the front of the property adjacent to Northeast First Street and partially along the side yard adjacent to Northeast 7th Avenue and partially along the side yard adjacent to the property on the south. The proposal also includes a 6-foot tall slip fence to run along the rear or the east property line, partially along the side yard adjacent to the property on the south, and partially along the side yard adjacent to Northeast 7th Avenue. The new fence is to be black-coated aluminum on the front and a vertical model slip fence made of wood and metal in the back. The map shows the location of property on the corner, the southeast corner of Northeast First Street and Northeast 7th Avenue. The current zoning designation is urban 4 on a 1/4 acre of land. So the existing structure is a 2-story brick building that's been undergoing renovation to convert the building from an office back to a single-family dwelling. It has approximately 3,000 square feet of total floor area, 2,968 square feet of heated area on a 1/4 acre lot. The house was built in 1932, according to the property appraiser, and it is a contributing structure to the district. See the pictures of the subject property here. You see the picture in the left top corner of the property. On the right-hand side, you see the view from Northeast First Street. And the bottom 2 views sort of give an indication of the view of the property from Northeast 7th Street. This is one of those corner lots that have a highly visible side and rear yard. So the new fence will run behind a large tree at the northeast corner of the property and parallel to 7th Avenue across the old driveway that provided access to the parking spaces for the old office use. So if you're looking at this picture in the bottom left corner, the fence would run behind this tree in the far left of the picture, and this parking area is in the process of being removed. I believe the pavement has already, for the most part, been taken up. This area will now be a backyard with a pool for the residents. The fence will continue across a grass area and then turn south to the house at the mid-length point of the structure, and also tie into the metal fence that will run up 7th Avenue. A grass area between the fence and the sidewalk would be landscaped by the owners to tie in with the landscaping of the front yard. The fence will be a vertical model slip fence made of wood and metal. The fences will include 3 gates as well throughout the property. Here's some pictures of the gates and the fence. You see the proposed 6-foot tall slip metal fence on the top right corner. The fence, the 4-foot fence that would run along the front and partial sides of the property is down here in the bottom right corner. And you see the proposed gates on the left. So the proposed 4-foot metal fence in the front yard of the property is largely in compliance with the city's guidelines for fencing, because it will be no greater than 48 inches tall, as it's mostly open, and it will be made of metal. The metal is a black-coated aluminum material. The proposed new fence in the rear yard of the property meets the city's guidelines for fencing because it's in the rear yard. It's proposed to be made of wood and metal. both approvable materials, and it would be no greater than 6 feet in height. However, for the proposed fence in the side yard of the property along the highly visible Northeast 7th Avenue, the petitioner is requesting a height that exceeds what is allowable through staff approval and therefore requires approval of the Historic Preservation Board. So the location of the fence relative to the sidewalks, an important consideration concerning fencing on a corner lot. The proposed 6-foot tall fence will be off the sidewalk approximately 4 feet. This corner lot was the home of an office use for many years. Many office uses still exist on Northeast First Street, which gets a significant amount of vehicle traffic as well as pedestrian traffic, and it is a designated storefront street per the city's land development code. Storefront streets are designed to encourage a high level of pedestrian activity, and North Main Street is just 1 block to the west. The board should deliberate on the height issue of the fence proposed near the public sidewalk along Northeast 7th Avenue. By the way, the zoning map identifies a hierarchy of street types that determine the relationship of buildings to the street and the standards for the design of street landscaping and sidewalks. They include storefront streets, principal streets, thoroughfares, and local streets. Because of the potential high volume of traffic along Northeast First Street, which is considered a designated storefront street, and the fact that it's a highly visible corner lot in this area with a significant amount of pedestrian traffic, staff recommends approval of the petition HP-21-0006. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, and the applicant is on the line, also waiting to discuss the petition.
Okay, are there questions of staff?
I guess I question the height and the solidity of the fence on the one side,
On 7th Avenue.
on the street side.
Yeah. Okay.
It seems massive.
Okay, would the owner's representative care to speak?
Well, the owner is online.
Yeah, I'm here if I'm allowed to speak.
Sure.
Yes.
I don't know if you can see me. We do understand that we're asking for a 6-foot fence that is a privacy fence as opposed to a 4-foot fence that is largely transparent. We have a number of reasons for that. As was said, this used to be a business and it was unoccupied for 4 years. So we have had a big problem with vagrancy. We're not living there yet. We're just about to finish the internal renovations. And we would like to ensure that our child who will be in the backyard is safe. And a fence would certainly help us with that. And a privacy fence would also help to make sure that it's more difficult for her to get out or other people to get in. Of course, we'd be there the whole time, but it doesn't take but a moment. Also, because we have a pool, we'd like to ensure our privacy in the back there. The COA for the pool and the permit has already been approved, and that should be started shortly. We have planned for the fence to be well off of the sidewalk so that there is a greater ability for us to landscape next to it, and the height of the fence and the fact that it is a privacy fence will be less obtrusive. And our goal is to blend that in with the metal fencing, which I think you can see we've selected it to really match quite well, so that the landscaping around the border of the property can be holistic and really help to create a pleasant visual for people who might be walking down that street while still maintaining our privacy and allowing us to make some use out of that backyard. So a lot of thought has gone into the design of this, and to also recognize that having a fence right next to the sidewalk can be a problem. It's a relatively short span that we're talking about that is not in compliance with the standard regulations. So we're hopeful that the board will recognize our desire to be able to make full use of a property that we have spent a lot of time and effort saving from the brink of ruin. As I said, it was unoccupied for more than 3 years and had not had any upkeep. So, you know, we've gone through the process of replacing 87-year-old pipe and an 87-year-old roof to ensure that the historic property is maintained. And we've done all of that with a very careful eye towards maintaining its historical appropriateness. I live in the duck pond now. We live in the duck pond now, just 4 blocks away. And, you know, have always supported and believed in the community and the historic character of it. So I have a great deal of respect for that. And all I can do is, you know, make the commitment that this will look lovely when it's done.
Are there questions of the applicant?
Is there any way to move the fence more than 4 feet off the sidewalk then?
It's actually about 4.5 feet, and we chose that so that it would go right behind the really beautiful tree that's between us and our, I'm very bad with directions, our neighbor closest to the Thomas Center, whatever direction that is. East, I think, sorry. There's a big tree there, and so we've just sort of planned the fence to align naturally behind that. Yeah, you can sort of see the tree right back there. And it's actually just about 4 feet 8 inches, I think, is what it is. 4 feet 6 inches, 4 feet 8 inches. So our concern there was just to protect the tree and make sure that the fence didn't impose on the tree or its roots. So, I mean, if you tell me I have to move it further back, I will. It's a relatively small backyard, so we are trying to recoup as much of it as we can. This house has a very large front yard, which is basically a public space, especially during the Spring Arts Fair, if we get to have one of those again. So, you know, we're open to putting a lot into landscaping the front and keeping that very open for public view, but we would like a little bit of the backyard, particularly as on the other side, our neighbor on the south side has a very tall building. It's an apartment building, and there's a lot of windows, and so there's not a lot of privacy from that side into our yard. And so having this a little bit further away from that gives us just a little bit more privacy.
My question is this fence the north-south element of it off the northeast corner of the building or midway or northwest corner?
Yeah, that's where I think I'm confused as to.
Okay, it comes off the east.
Jason, pull the
Off the
floor plan up
east,
that
behind that tree that you see in the bottom corner there that's on the sidewalk. It'll be sitting 4.5 feet back. Once it gets even with the back of the house, it turns and goes back to the corner of the
That's
house,
my question.
the
yeah.
solid.
Right,
And then from
so-
there on, it's a 4-foot fence.
Yeah, right, okay, so, you know, again, from the northeast corner of the structure, it's running north and south to the point to be determined, and then running east.
Yeah, the variance.
That would be the variance.
Yeah. So from the.
I had submitted some pictures where I kind of drew in where the lines were. I don't.
No, we're looking at those.
Bill.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't see it.
So the blue line is the 6-foot fence, the green line is the 4-foot.
Right, so I'm talking about the blue line down at the bottom that shows the gate.
See, and that's where the
And
gate
that
is, and
get
that's where the
moved
setback
back?
is.
'Cause that's on
over-
7th, right?
Oh, it's not at the back corner of the house, it's in the middle of the house.
Yeah, see, so that's the
okay.
property.
All right,
driveway.
mid-house, not.
Mid-house, yeah.
Yeah, all right, as opposed.
Yeah, I requested mid-house because that's the kitchen. So it allows me to be in the kitchen and see out into the yard
Right,
so that I can watch the kid.
all right,
But
Right.
this fence that has the gate drawn in, that's also 6 feet and solid there. That's the one I'm talking about, because that's on 7th, right?
right.
Yeah, because this is
Can
first.
that get shifted back farther away from the sidewalk? So it's not only 4 feet from the sidewalk, or am I being ridiculous?
Could be, yeah.
Or is that where the tree is? Is the tree in that corner?
The tree is at 4 foot 6 inches, and that's why I have it
We're
there.
determining what corner. I'm just trying to look at the
So I
floor
think
plan.
the tree, would the tree be right there at the break? Or like where it goes from the 4 feet to the 6 feet? Or,
You know, Jay?
The tree's on the back corner and this.
Oh, that tree is no longer there, I don't think.
Okay.
That tree where your mouse is right now, that tree's not there. The tree that we're working on is the big tree in the corner of the.
No, we're looking at,
yeah.
we're looking at a
something
plan.
else. We're looking at the plan.
Oh, okay. The pictures are from Google and they're old.
So she's talking, that tree right there, she says is gone, is it?
The
was
palm
it-
trees, which
Remove
are
that.
at the side of the house.
Yeah,
Talking about whether that fence can go further than
yeah,
4
okay,
feet
yeah,
off
cause
the
like
property,
that
off the
bottom
sidewalk.
corner.
I mean,
it's
it
like,
could
that's right
go
here,
up
right?
to.
No, that's
equivalent.
right down there where the gate is,
Okay.
right at the edge of where that plant
I
is, where the big tree
I
is.
absolutely
So
can't
that big
figure out
tree
what
is
I'm
right
looking
here.
at there.
Yeah, it's right there.
Ah, okay, yeah, okay, yes, it's the back, okay. Alright, now I got it. But that tree
So the black metal fence is, how far is that off the
It's
sidewalk?
running across and up.
It's at the property line, it's on
It's
this
at
side of
the-
the,
So it's,
the 4-foot fence.
Yeah, the 4 foot
on
runs
the
along the
sidewalk?
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out.
and then it pops back 4 feet,
Yeah,
and
then
that, so that's what I'm asking. Can we
And
go
what she was
further back
talking
than 4
about
feet?
doing is landscaping in front of the fence.
Right, but 4 feet, I mean, let's be real, 4 feet's not much distance when we're talking a big solid fence like that. So that's why I'm wondering if we can go further in, maybe 6 feet,
Yeah,
you know, off the sidewalk.
take 6 feet would work.
Would it be,
I'm not,
oh, you can't talk about
I
it.
can't talk about it.
The question we're doing is, would 6 feet work for you?
Can that section of
Oh.
solid fence that runs along 7th, that's 4 feet in from the sidewalk, could it come 6 feet in from the sidewalk to give more buffer if we allowed the 6 feet?
just move this J to 6 feet, right?
Can we, I mean, it can we compromise with 5? It can, I mean, like I said, we're just trying to gain some of that yard and also have it sort of
That's reasonable.
look natural. And I guess having a 1 foot or a 1.5 foot space behind that tree is just a little odd. But,
Okay. Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
okay
we
with 5
will,
feet.
you get to decide. I don't get to decide. So,
Okay,
You
you're
know-
ahead of the game right now. We hear 5, going once.
yeah, I mean, I was really just trying to make it look natural. And since I turned this in, I've spoken to the fence person, and he thinks it would look best if the metal fence is also brought up to be in alignment with the wooden fence, so
Okay.
that the metal fence would also be that same distance off of the edge along the side of 7th.
That's better too.
So that would also just keep, again, the landscaping on the outside of the fence versus inside. And that would all, you know, create a nice holistic look, which is what I'm most interested in. So, but if we're start talking about 6 feet, I can't have the metal fence in the, you know, all up 6 feet
Right.
as well in the front. It's just,
Okay, I think we're happy with 5 here. Your thoughts in terms of maintaining alignment there consistently is very well taken. So I think we're in good shape for
For a vote?
motion to
Sure.
approve.
Let me do it. Can I
Okay.
make a motion?
So,
based
no,
on the-
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Is there any public comment in regard to that?
There is no public comment on the wires at this time, Mr.
Very
Chairman.
good. Anything from the House? Okay. Having heard none, take a motion.
This is Liz. I'll make a motion, HB 21-6, to approve with the condition that the fence be set back 5 feet from the edge of the sidewalk instead of 4.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor, Mr. Simmons?
Okay, just a moment. Okay, Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
and I am assuming Chairman Reeves, you are
Abstain.
abstaining. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Next item.
thank you very much.
Good luck.
You're welcome.
It's my old office.
Just a moment while I call up the next.
And that was our.
I didn't think this next house was in the historic district. It's right behind one of my properties.
I think anybody
And I
cheated,
didn't
so
think
we
my
painted
property
that
was
brick.
in the historic district.
Yeah, good point.
That's a double point.
I know, I looked at it.
Heard
and
from
I
people
thought,
that
"That's my house."
your
That's
iconic
my
color.
house.
Not always.
Alright, guys, so what's the next one? Another re-roof. Do you want me to see this? Oh, this is like the neighbor.
Yeah. You saw the neighbor's house.
Yeah, look at that, okay. Oh, that's out of place.
I guess we're doing the whole street.
Okay,
What's that?
I think we're doing the whole street.
Oh, yeah, on First Ave, southeast.
13th.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, this
yeah.
one's on 13th.
Yeah, I think there's one, two spots on Spur Street you haven't touched.
Yeah, one or two.
Mr. Chairman, the next item is under new business is 200791. Petition HP-21-7. Anthony C. Vargas, owner. Certificate of appropriateness to re-roof an existing multiple-family building with a metal roof located at 824 Southeast First Avenue. This building is a non-contributing structure to the Southeast Residential Historic District. So this proposal would install a 29-gauge ultra-rib panel metal roof over the existing asphalt shingle roof with a synthetic underlayment between the old and the new roofing material. The proposed roofing is galvalume in color and is manufactured by Tri-County Metals. This map shows the location of the property on Southeast First Avenue. It's about 0.32 acres in land area with urban 3 zoning. Now the existing building, the multiple family building, it's 1-story non-contributing structure built in 1978. It's a 4-unit building with a little under 3,000 square feet of heated space and about 3,692 square feet of total area. The existing gable hip roof has asphalt shingles. See the 2 pictures here.
Just
The
FYI,
one
we've
is
already
at
ripped
the
the roof off. I drove by
facade.
once on the way. So,
The product
You're doing this.
proposed is the ultra rib.
That's not mine.
Oh, you said you had two.
There's another one coming after this fence.
why are we suddenly getting all this 29 gauge?
The existing structure is a non-contributing multifamily building. The board approves metal roofing on a case-by-case basis, depending on the style and use of the building. Again, typically, the recommendation is standing seam or 5V crimp. In this case, the existing structure is a non-contributing multiple-family building that sits back approximately 80 feet from the paved area of Southeast First Avenue. Adjacent contributing structures to the east of the subject property have metal roofs, as do 2 homes across the street from the building that are not in the historic district. The proposed metal roofing is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. So staff is recommending approval of petition HP-21-0007. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, we have any questions from the board? It's got a pretty low pitch roof on it from what I remember.
Right.
It's pretty flat, but that's a lot of roof.
It's a lot of roof.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already taken the existing shingles off.
We'll put them back.
How about that? Is there an owner or representative on the phone, Jason?
The applicant is on the phone on our lines here. I can have him accessible to you right away. Mr. Vargas, you have the floor.
Yes, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, very good. Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify, the shingles aren't off the roof. I think there's just a synthetic paper that they put
Okay.
on top of the roof. So, yeah, we haven't pulled anything off.
Okay, okay.
In this particular this particular system is what a lot of the houses, right, like literally to the left, right, and two across the street have. So that's, it just to keep it, uniform with the surrounding, structures. And also it's a multifamily unit, and, I want to try to keep it economical, to keep down rent costs as well. But, it does conform to, to the other houses all have a similar system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions?
Just to make the point that contextually, this doesn't present a problem in this part of the southeast.
So we're okay with this type in this?
This application.
In this location.
I mean, I have no problem with it. I know that every single house around there,
Yeah.
including my own, has.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
Call for.
Mr. Chairman, you need to open it up to other public comment?
Any public comment?
We don't have any further comment on the lines here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, move to approve HP 21-7.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, Mr. Simmons.
Okay, roll call vote. Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Kyra Lucas,
She stepped out of the room.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg, Jay Reeves.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simmons.
Okay, Mr. Simmons, the next item.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, the next item is 200792, petition HP-21-00009, Lawrence N. and Pamela B. Lahiff, owners, certificate of appropriateness to construct a deck in the front yard of an existing single-family dwelling with associated modifications to the front and side setback, located at 506 Northeast 2nd Street. This building is a contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District. So this proposal is for the construction of a slightly raised wood deck around the southeast corner of the house at 506 Northeast 2nd Street. Decks can be staff approved if they meet certain conditions, one being that they do not front on two or more streets, that they must utilize simple designs that are mostly open and sited to the rear or rear side yard of the building. In this instance, the Historic Preservation Board approval is required because the deck is proposed for the front and front side yard of the building. You see the map showing the location of the property here. The zoning right here is urban 4. The lot's about 0.14 acres of land. And it should be pointed out that the lot is adjacent to the parking area of the First United Methodist Church. Here's some views of the property. Again, it's an existing single-family dwelling, one story, contributing structure that was built circa 1928, according to the Florida Master Site File. It's a weatherboard covered bungalow that represents a typical Gainesville house of the 20s. It's wood frame structure with brick piers, a gable roof with cross gables for the secondary roof structure, a novelty shingles, wood windows, and an arched entry hood with brackets over the front door. The site plan and elevation sheet, you can see the elevations on the for the east elevation and the south elevation. It's very low profile, simple design. Probably wouldn't be seen very well through the existing fencing that's on the property.
Jason, is the deck on the north side of the house?
That's the east and
I can't
south.
tell from that because I can't
Liz,
see that.
you know where the
Mr.
Right there, where you behind the fence.
So it's on the,
Back here.
it's to the,
Where-
would be to the right of the front door as you're looking at it and then around the corner?
It'd be to the left of the front door, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you're
Left of the front door?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, do you see where my
Oh,
mouse
it's there.
is here?
Oh, God, okay. I thought it was the other side.
We
where
got
the
it, we
yard
got it.
is.
yeah.
No, the
This
front-
corner.
See, there's
The
a
third,
front on the south
third
side,
picture here.
Yeah, I got it.
front door on the east side. And it's,
So it's that corner,
it's
not
that
that
corner,
corner.
the
Okay.
lower side.
So they would want to, so they want to like connect.
I thought I
those.
surely was looking
Connect
at
the
that one.
stoops and you really wouldn't see it
Two
because of the
stoops.
fence.
Yeah. It's a
But you wouldn't see the deck because of the fence.
Yeah.
Okay.
You really what? Didn't see it?
That's-
So the proposal under consideration with this application is the construction of a slightly raised wood deck around the southeast corner of the house. A landscape material would occupy the area between the deck and the fence on the east and south property lines. The proposal must receive approval from the board because the deck is proposed for the front and front side yard of the building.
Okay.
So the deck as shown would not meet the current front and side yard setback requirements for the urban 4 zoning district, which requires 15 feet minimum to 20 feet maximum from the curb on the front and 5 feet minimum on the side yard. The deck will require a front yard setback reduction at the east property line to no less than 12 feet, where 15 feet minimum to 20 feet maximum is required from the back of curb. The deck will require a side yard setback reduction at the south property line to no less than 4 feet. The request will not affect the public safety, health, or welfare of abutting property owners or the district. The proposal is for the front and front side yard elevation, which does not reflect a typical development pattern or design theme. However, the simple design of the deck will not detract from the aesthetic character of the house. The house only has a stoop at the front door with no porch, and the deck can provide an area for the owners to sit in the front to observe the street. As the deck is adjacent to the parking area of the adjacent First United Methodist Church property, staff recommends approval of the modification. And because of the requested modifications on that south side yard property line, we did notify the church by letter of the modification request. We haven't heard anything back at this point.
Okay.
Yeah,
So with that, staff recommends that the HPB approve petition HP-21-00009 with the following conditions: that the board approve the modification of the existing zoning requirements, reducing the front yard setback from the 15 to 20 feet required to no less than 12 feet, and reducing the south side yard setback from 5 feet to no less than 4 feet. And also notify staff of any changes during construction. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, and I believe the applicants are on the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Simmons. Does the board have any questions of staff?
Looks great.
Looks good.
Okay, would the applicant care to make any comment? Hearing none, may I hear is there anyone in the house that wishes to make a comment?
Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
We can.
I'm an applicant and I'm looking to expose myself more to the street life in this neighborhood. And that's why I want to sit out on my front porch and watch people go by and greet neighbors in our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yes, commendable. Okay.
We make them.
Let's see, is anyone on the line?
No, Mr. Chairman, there is nobody on our line.
May I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve HP 21-09. This is Nicole.
One second.
Second, here.
And that's approving with the modifications and conditions?
Yes.
That is with the modifications. Okay, all in favor, Mr. Simmons?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kyra Lucas,
Aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
Aye.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
Jay Reeves.
Aye. I didn't do anything on it.
Motion passes.
Keep it,
Oh,
you're
I
gonna
thought
need it.
The next, all right.
Why isn't the last?
Black.
Oh, the lessons of chain link fence. Is that
Chain
why
link
you were
fence.
accused?
Here we go.
Are we supposed to have a file for this last item?
There was one. I don't know.
It's not. Yeah, it's not here in the things here.
It's not?
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
Right. It was in the original agenda.
Oh, here it is.
Did you find it?
COA. It's in the backup.
Oh, in the backup, thank you.
Yep. There it is. Boom.
Oh, look at yours. Sorry to turn you smart technology people. Jason, are we moving on?
Yeah, you didn't get set up. There you go.
Yeah. Is it already up?
Okay.
That's it.
Next item is 200793. Petition HP-21-10. PJ and Gina Van Blockland, owners. Certificate of appropriateness to gain approval of installed fencing around the side and rear of a single-family dwelling located at 310 Northeast 13th Avenue. This building is a contributing structure to the Northeast Residential Historic District. So the applicants are seeking the approval of a 6-foot-tall chain link fence that was installed without receiving a COA prior to the installation. The petition makes the request that the installed fence remain in place on 3 sides of the backyard, on the west side, the north side, and on the east. These portions of the fence are not visible from the right-of-way. The western segment of the fence is adjacent to a chain link fence on the adjacent property. The south portion of the chain link fence is visible from the right-of-way, and would be replaced with a 6-foot tall wood stockade fence over metal posts painted black with partially open gates. The location of the property, you see it's zoned RSF2. It's approximately 0.26 acres of land, and it's next door to the Kim Popejoy property that we saw earlier in the meeting. So some of you might recall this structure. There was a COA approved for an addition, a re-roof, and other renovations for the house with a petition back in 2018. Existing house was a 1-story wood frame vernacular with shiplap siding and a side gabled roof. They did part of the re-roof to a 5E crimp style. The new construction was to match the existing structure. The original roofing material was asbestos tile. You see the pictures here. Some of that construction that was approved in 2018 is still ongoing. And for many years, there was a chain link fence that faced out onto 13th Avenue in this section right here. But that was a 4-foot chain link fence. It has since been replaced with what you see on the right-hand side here. And that goes, and I'll show you here. This is a rendering of the fence that's proposed to replace that portion of the chain link fence that fronts onto 13th Avenue. You see there's a gate here with a 40% transparency, and then also a 1x6 stockade fence. There's a board pattern for the gates proposed that would be a 1x6, 1x2, 1x2, and 1x6 that would provide 40% transparency and some visibility into the side yard. The 6-foot fence height is requested because of the need to keep a large dog, a Great Dane, in the yard and not
in the neighborhood.
Put a 4-foot fence that the dog could probably jump. So on the right-hand side is the site plan. You see that the fencing extends basically around the back of the property and the sides up to the point of the front of the house. So the gate as shown on the left with the stockade fence would be located here. And there would also be a section of the wood stockade fence located here, which blocks people from coming into the backyard. So the 6-foot tall wood stockade fence does not extend into the front yard beyond the front wall of the house. And this property is not a corner lot with a highly visible side or rear yard. The 3 sides of the fence on the east, west, and north are not highly visible from the right-of-way. Chain link fencing is not recommended in the historic districts, but is not outright prohibited. The proposed wood fence for the visible south elevation is not more than 6 feet in height and is an appropriate material. This south elevation fence with the gates would be set back from the street over 40 feet, while the proposed fence on the east side would be set back over 60 feet from the street. The proposed south elevation fencing meets the City of Gainesville's guidelines for fencing because it does not extend into the front yard beyond the front wall of the house. It's proposed to be made of wood, and it would be no greater than 6 feet in height. The chain link portion of the installed fencing is not highly visible from the public right-of-way. So again, to review, chain link fencing is not recommended in the districts, but it's not outright prohibited. The 3 sides of that fence on the east, west, and north are not highly visible from the right-of-way. The 6-foot tall wood stockade fence does not extend into the front yard beyond the front wall of the house. And this property is not a corner lot with a highly visible side or rear yard. The proposed wood fence for the visible south elevation is not more than 6 feet in height and is an appropriate material and would be set back 40 feet from the street on the east side and over 60 feet from the street on the west side of the house. By the way, this came to our attention because I guess somebody complained and code enforcement went out and did cite them for the installation of the fence without a COA. So they have to resolve the situation somehow to satisfy the requirements of the code enforcement citation. So staff is recommending approval of HP-20-0010 to help resolve this situation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Yes, Mr. Simmons, the northeast corner of the house, is that south-facing fence to be the wood fence? Is that?
Yes, you're talking about over here?
I can't see where over here is.
Northeast and southeast. I mean, no, northwest.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
the southwest line
And
there.
the southeast.
Both.
Huh?
It's where the gate is and
Yeah.
that
Pieces on
tiny
either
little
end.
porch.
The tiny little bit, as I
Right.
understand the site plan, is south-facing.
It is
Okay.
both, on both sides of the house, there is a south-facing
Yeah,
fence.
all fence
Yeah.
facing southeast.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right.
You can see the 6.
Okay,
We have comments.
we have, does any board member have a question of staff?
Yeah,
Okay, hearing none, from the audience.
And I'll speak afterwards.
Certainly. Please come forward, state your name and sign in.
Chairman, I can't hear him.
The microphone.
Speak to the mic.
Chairman,
bought that house, or I got that house from my parents, 82, 83, and did not know that when we started to move in, that I had actually sinned. I did not know that COA existed. That's not an excuse, I should have done. And I was more startled than the people who complained when they saw that long thing on the east side, on the west side, next to the Popejoys. That's all I want to say. I am extremely happy to follow the orders that I just read, and I think it's pretty damn decent. And I really didn't mean to do this. So apologize. I promise you that Dane that we've got can clear a 4-foot fence with ease. But she's not going to be able to get through this 6-foot. And funnily enough, I rather like dogs, sometimes better than I like people. And by the way, if you don't mind me saying so, you cannot see anything on the east side of the house of any chain link at all. It ends about 15, at least 15 yards away from the end of the house, because that's part of the property owned by somebody else. We've got a dog leg there. But I promise you that I will do this with alacrity. And I don't know what else I'm going to say except sorry and thank you.
Apology is very much well accepted. We appreciate your coming before us. And I think we'll be able to get from here to there in your favor.
Thank you, thank you. And I apologize.
Yes, certainly, certainly. Is there anyone on the line that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Mr. Kim Popejoy is on the line. Mr. Popejoy, you have the floor.
Proceed.
And you guys can hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
That's great. Well, first of all, I'm very pleased.
Mr. Popejoy, you have to shut your speaker off. We're getting some echoing.
Okay, one of them needs to go off. Okay. So I am very pleased to have the McLaughlins move in next door, having known his parents. And although I would be accepting of the chain link fence that he has these beautiful stars on, I simultaneously will accept the wood fence and look forward to enjoying their company.
Thank you, Mr. Popejoy. Okay.
What about the neighbors to the east, on the east property line?
Let me
On the
address that.
east property line?
I can't hear him.
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. I should be up here. He has no objections whatsoever. He has a hog wire fence, actually. He's been here a long time. Let me stand here if there are any other questions. It's rather nice to know one's neighbors before you actually move in.
And there is nobody to the north.
Right.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay,
I think this resolution looks good.
I think we've covered it. Thank you, sir. May I hear a motion?
Motion. Make a motion to approve HP 21-10 for the COA of the construction of a 6-foot fence. Is that what that is?
Okay.
Second, Nicole.
Okay, Mr. Simmons, roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Kyra Lucas,
aye.
Elizabeth Hausauer,
No.
Nicole Nesberg,
Aye.
Michael Hill,
Aye.
Bill Warner,
Aye.
and Jay Reeves.
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, motion passes 4-1.
Thank you for sitting through this long meeting.
Every
Thank you.
year.
Okay. Mr. Simmons, is there announcements or anything else?
Mr. Chairman, we are trying to, let's see if I can stop sharing my screen here. We're trying to set up for the March meeting a presentation from the CRA about the Welcome Home program. They gave a presentation to the City Commission a couple of weeks ago, and they would be presenting to you a presentation that they would be giving to their board later in March. So that will hopefully be upcoming for next month's meeting.
Okay.
And also, I can share an announcement. Jason, I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that the Historic Preservation Officer position has closed, and we are reviewing applications and getting ready to set up interviews.
Thanks. If we're on member comment, I do have one thing.
Yes.
I actually have something.
Jason, I don't know if you can make note of this. Under HP owe to the people at the mid-modern house, non-contributing, that we're putting the metal roof on. They erected a 6-foot solid PVC fence between their house and the house next door without a COA or an approval. Is there anything we can do to ask them about that?
Are you talking about the property to the north?
They put it between their house and the property to the north, correct? Between their carport.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
There has been that's gonna be replaced.
Yeah.
I just
because-
realized what you're talking about. No,
Yeah, we have
that fence has been is
we looked at a
being-
COA for revised fencing between
Yeah, that's going.
the house that we just reviewed earlier tonight and the house on the north of it. They put up and again, they put up a fence but that fence is going to be replaced.
The one on the boulevard?
Bill was the agent working with the property owner to amend that situation.
Oh, so they're doing a remodel and they know they have to take it down?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that, I volunteered to help out Mr. DeRochemont and put forward a COA application for a replacement fence.
Okay, as long as that fence is going.
Yeah, it's going.
Anything else?
Right.
Anything else?
I actually have one thing, guys. So, hey, do we still have the list that we made from the Joint City Commission meeting? Because I know Mr. Parsons last meeting asked us for it. That was in January.
The list we made?
Yeah. Okay, you guys remember when we had the joint meeting with the commission?
Mhm.
And we made that list of like, hey, these are like some of our things. I know. I think I don't know if you were here for the January meeting, but he came here and he said he wants the. I guess he wants the list or something. He wants to go over some of the things. Do we still have that list? Is it like?
I do, yeah, I'll send it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we need to still try to get the meeting scheduled for a workshop to discuss the board's responses to the commission comments at the October joint meeting with the commission. And also hear the presentation from the city attorney's office, Sean McDermott, about your legal obligations as a board, sunshine law rules, et cetera, which some of you have not had that training yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're gonna have all these things at the next meeting, any kind of presentation, we have to find a way to streamline this. I can't do this.
Yeah, it's like till 9:30 in the morning. It's ridiculous.
It's too long, Jason, and I don't know whether we limit the number of applications or what, but we can't go this long.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, the workshop with
well, I'm not
supposed
necessarily the workshop, but
to be
you
a
said there was
separate
gonna be
thing
a
from
presentation.
these HPB meetings.
No, I understand that, but you said there was gonna be a presentation at the March 2nd meeting, an additional presentation. And my point is, if it's already, for example, 9:30 now, we don't have time or the bandwidth for an additional presentation, much as we
Yeah.
want it.
We'll be here till 11 o'clock.
We watch on our own, can we have some other options?
Well, Mr. Chairman, next month's meeting has fewer
items.
It had fewer items than this meeting, which had, I believe it was 15 separate items. We've got 4 new ones, and then the items that you continued tonight.
That was half an hour we didn't meet.
Okay. So we got 5 items next
No,
week.
the one before that,
Yeah, that's the one I missed.
January.
Okay.
Okay, nothing else, we're adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Let's get out of here.